baseline. This is sort of our starting point.
So I heard you just say, Tracy, that do you feel that it's wise for you to go ahead and put the amount of dollars that you have been in the past, or would it be wise to just get a mechanical machine to do? Where are you waiting? Where's your weight on? What do you think is more beneficial?
If we can leverage source control to achieve a higher percentage, it's better for the district financially. But it's not guaranteed to last forever. So we're negotiating. Jennifer's doing a great job talking to regional board members, talking to regulators, to tell them our challenges and to engage with them to get recognition of those challenges and maybe define how many times in a row does it have to be green before it's permanent. You know, that's the stuff we're talking about with regulators. When we did the study, it indicated that we would have to install 400 devices to cover the remaining area of the city. You can imagine how much effort it would take to clean 400 devices every time it rained. So my preference and our approach has been combined, but limit the amount of mechanical treatment and increase the amount of source control activities.
Source control.
Alternative compliance measures, you know, not littering, keeping the areas clean, the other avenues.
Thank you.
And for the general public's understanding, can you further explain what you mean by source control versus mechanical device versus how you're actually accumulating all the trash that you're getting these data points at?
Okay. So in general, source control is stopping a pollutant before it reaches a water body or a treatment plant. So what we mean source control for trash would be stopping that trash while it's still on the land before it reaches the storm drain system or the receiving waters. I got that far. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mechanical device. Sorry. So the mechanical devices have a series of screens on them that filter out trash as it passes through the storm drain system. And so they actually collect the trash either in nets or in other devices, and they keep it from reaching the receiving water, the San Francisco Bay. Does that answer that?
Yes, and in general, is there a cost per unit of putting these in? Because obviously you've identified the areas that you've done 100% control of, but so the question is, for the rest of the area, is there a cost associated with what's left to do there?
Yeah, large devices like the ones indicated on the map that have these large acreages, they're over $1 million each to install. We're looking at 4 additional devices. Those 4 devices would combine to achieve less than 6% incremental increase in capture. Those devices also cost us over $100,000 a year in operating and maintenance costs.
Thank you for that. I mean, just listening to those rough numbers, that doesn't sound like a very efficient or effective process at this point, which I'm hoping at some point technology may be able to increase or improve that. Okay. Trustee Ledger.
Thank you. So with that in mind, these mechanical devices cost $1 million. If you're talking about 4, that's $4 million. And you're talking about annual cost is $100,000 per year, and the rate of return is 6%, less than 6%, correct? Did I say that right?
The incremental increase in full trash capture coverage would be around 6% for those 4 additional devices. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's not much, right?
It is not much.
Okay. And with that in mind, there was a comment made, which I can also fundamentally agree that the city should take lead on encampments and the different things that potentially create the debris that we're experiencing. And yet at the same time, as a city and as the district, since these mechanical devices really are not giving us a real strong, hard return on investment, then how does the water district think about really partnering with the city as it relates to some of these different issues that we face as a city? Because as a water district, I'm talking about from a water district perspective, it's easy to say, this is not theoretically our problem. Theoretically, we don't have the resources or the manpower to do it. But the reality is, we're all serving the city. And so, what is the willingness of the water department to consider how can it partner financially versus giving $4 million? And you're smiling, $4 million in a machine, doing $100,000 a year, and you're only getting a rate of 6% of return, or increase 6%.
Well, that's misrepresenting, and at the risk of having to redo the presentation.
You don't need to
We've
redo
achieved
it.
70% for the first $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
And as I stated earlier in the presentation, it's achieving incremental progress from the 86 toward the 100% is exponentially more expensive because we're having to focus on smaller area coverages for each device.
So
for
can
the new
I,
ones,
can I
yes.
interrupt you for a moment?
Yes.
So while I might not have been here, I was listening.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to redo the presentation.
Thank you.
And when I do the math, you just said it. I didn't say it, you said it. For the other ones, yes, we got to 70%. And if we add in, wonderful. But if we add these additional 4, we're saying basically our increment is about 6%. So so let me ask the question, is it worth spending $4 million on these machines and annually $100,000 annual, that'll be $400,000, almost $500,000 to maintain them for that 6% incremental increase? Or are you going to tell me that year over year, I'll get more than 6%?
So it's a difficult question.
Okay.
It really is. We're going to have to think with our partner, the city, and
Okay.
determine what's the most efficient path to compliance. We cannot ignore this. We are already in the first step in an enforcement proceeding. Being under a cease and desist order is not a desired situation.
Understood.
And so to go back to where we can leverage partnerships, the district really tries to coordinate with local community groups. We've supported the Vallejo Watershed Alliance for over 20 years, and they conduct monthly creek and shoreline cleanups, which up until fairly recently, under the regular MRP, we were receiving credit for. That was phased out. Now, while we are in the cease and desist order, we'll be receiving credit for those actions again. So it's those kind of partnerships where we can support an activity that enhances the environment, educates the community, and provides trash reduction credit. That's really where we need to be focusing a lot of our efforts. We're in constant communication with the city. I'm talking with their folks. We have a really good back and forth and communication. We're also part of a larger countywide program, the Solano Stormwater Alliance, where we're looking to leverage economies of scale. All of our communities are required to follow the same requirements under the same permit. So we're just looking for those places where instead of each of us creating a program, we can create one program that we can all feed into and regain compliance from.
Thank you for that answer. That's more amenable in my perspective. And again, I fully understand the need to be compliant. That's never lost on me. I work in that world. And what I'm really getting down to is it cost effective when we talk about the devices, or is it more cost effective to determine how we can have a much more effective and robust relationship with our city and those other individuals, that other organizations that we're working with to achieve this result and use our monies, our dollars in a very different way. And that's really where I'm coming from.
And you both pointed out that source control was kind of your primary focus of avoiding a lot of the stuff, which kind of, in my mind, points more to the collaborative effort of community cleanups. So I think one of the challenges that we as a city have been struggling with, because we've attempted, especially in District 2, we've attempted to do some community cleanups, and we've come into a few barriers. A lot of it has to do with the permitting process. But for the general public, and many people may not understand this, is we actually have a franchise agreement with Recology, where we are allocated as a city over 96, well, the last number was 96 bins that we can use throughout a year. I'm not aware of what the final totals are from this last year or what it's been recently, but I think if we can team up with VFWD to help support and actually promote these community cleanups, I think that goes to your point of helping the source control of avoiding the trash just getting into the system. So I think that's an opportunity there that we can work with VFWD, which expands like the broader program that that VFWD is primarily in charge of, which is the coastal cleanup that happens annually. So I think we can piggyback on a lot of those types of opportunities, to where if we're trying to avoid the source control, then we need to utilize what we have available to us, which community cleanup should be part of that. But it sounds like, once again, it's the messaging, the educational component of how do we get this out to the general public. So, Trustee Gordon?
Thank you so much for pointing that out. And I think it's like you were saying earlier in your presentation, that it's about the collaboration with the community and holding us just as accountable, whether you are a landowner, the 100 partners of properties that you're working with. That sounds great. Maybe we could look in 2026 campaign, some type of big campaign where we can introduce the partners that Trustee Letters pointed out, the city, floodwater and waste, the water department, and then bring in all the volunteer schools, just to, we can create a big campaign, maybe do it during the summertime, but advertising for the next 4 months. Maybe a calendar contest, something, because let's say we have those devices, like you said, it's not always guaranteed, they can break, but if we have people educating ourselves and diving deep and holding ourselves accountable, I think that would probably be a big cost-efficient opportunity, and we can utilize that money someplace else. So thank you very much for that.
Any other questions or comments from the trustees? Seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation.
Excuse me, President Officer, we need to do public comment.
The fact we haven't officially opened the meeting yet, then we haven't really gone through parliamentary procedure the correct way. So,
Let's
and
start
that's
the
why I was
meeting.
going to
You're
ask
right.
the question is, do we want to, once we officially get open public hearing and then get back to this item, we can open public comment at that point?
Yes, we should do that.
Okay,
So,
thank you so much.
ahead
So,
and start.
once again, thank you for that, and then we will go ahead and start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And go from square one at this.
Okay.
So would like to officially call this meeting to order. Let me see. And can we get roll call, please?
Yes, Secretary Matulak. Secretary Matulak.
Present.
Trustee James.
Present.
Trustee Matias.
Here.
Trustee Letiju. Trustee Gordon.
Present.
And we have quorum.
Thank you for that. Moving on to approval of the agenda, are there any requests for the changes to the agenda, understanding that we have already done the administrative presentation already for today's agendas?
So moved.
Moving on to the next section,
We need to vote.
my apologies. So, and we'll just go ahead and do a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Moving on to the next section, consent calendar. Mr. Clerk, is there any public comment regarding the consent calendar?
We do not have any in-person public comment. I believe we may have one online.
We had a hand raised prior to the start of the meeting. It might be for community forum. Let me double check that. Speaker McDonald, did you want to speak on the consent item for the Flood and Wastewater District meeting?
I did, if I can.
Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
Hi, I'm speaking on behalf of Vallejo Project. I have a question and I guess two questions. What are the city's current priorities around water conservation, stormwater management, and community education? And where do you see opportunities for community-based organizations like Vallejo Project to partner in a way that strengthens outreach and impact in underserved neighborhoods? I know that we're impacted by a lot of the trash that's in District 2 and along the waterfront there by the homeless shelter. Our navigation center for youth is at 2160 Sacramento Street, and there are often abandoned cars, and there are 2 or 3 different communities that live outdoors there, and we definitely would like to be a part of the solution. And yeah, I guess I'll just stick with that.
I just wanted to make a note that it seems that comment is related to the item 5 that was just discussed. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
was the
correct.
presentation?
Which item?
Thank you.
Oh, gotcha. Understood. So,
And that wraps up our speakers for the consent calendar.
thank you for that. And then, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any requests from the board to remove any items from the consent calendar? Oh. Trustee Matias.
Thank you, Secretary Matulak. I want to pull E.
Any other requests? You do not. Okay. Seeing that request, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar with moving item 4E to 4.1?
So I make a motion to approve the consent calendar, moving 4E from consent calendar as, to 4.1. Thank you.
And we'll go ahead and do another voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4.1, and I'll go ahead and start with Trustee Matias, who pulled this item. Go ahead.
Thank you, Secretary Matulak. So, I've been asking a lot of questions. The other job that I have with the city around our contracts management practice, our accounting reconciliation, the timing of these things, and it was I was very shocked to review that report and see how far back this agreement goes and the timeline that was outlined in that staff report. And so I just sort of want to understand from you two, as someone who just straight up shocked reviewing that timeline, like when did we become aware of that issue, that there was a discrepancy between, you know, the amount that we had to pay and the city of Vallejo's accounting of said charges? Like, when did we become aware of this? When did we reach a resolution? Because yeah, it was, I just had many questions. So if you could just walk me through that, it would be helpful.
Sure, no problem. We figured this would raise some questions on the timeline. So it's before my time. I started with the district in October of 2023, and from what I'm aware of, it's been on the district's financials for a few years, and I think this, due to staff turnover and the timing going back to 2005, it's been a while, so over 10 plus years. The district's financials, we have had it on our books as an revenue that's been pending. So since I got here, I've been trying to reconcile the differences with our district accountant. And so through that process for the last, 2.5 years, 3 years that I've been here, wanted to take care of this and remove it off our books. Also, it's an audit finding, maybe a management letter, and so from our auditors that we needed to reconcile this and either remove it from our bad expense, try to collect whatever we can with the city, and then figure out what's going on. So the past 2.5 years, we've been doing that with the city of Vallejo, and we just couldn't reconcile our numbers with the city of Vallejo's numbers. And so looking at the district's records and going back to 2005, really I could only find what I could find, and so it's in our best interest to write off the difference. Since then, we have collected from the city of Vallejo, so they have paid the 266 that's been outstanding, which is great. So at least we've collected that and we've removed that from our books. And this is just more of a formality to reconcile the difference, which is the write-off of the 58,000. So just due to staff turnover, the timing of things, it's really just taking care of business as I got on board from a financial perspective.
If I could, I've been here a few years longer than Olivia has. We really identified this as an issue either late 2020 or early 2021, when we were realizing that our book did not match the city's records. And there was no way for us to really know that until we actually looked at the city's records and realized that. We've been carrying this on our books for a while, and we assumed it was collectible. Much of the difficulty goes to the accounting records as well as the permitting records that go back to the very beginning of this no longer exist. We had a different accounting system back then. The city had a different accounting system back then. So it's actually been very difficult for us to, once we identify the problem in early 2021, to actually reconcile that because we just don't have accurate records to do that. The city was able to provide more records that we actually had on our books, so the city has provided us the information. And so that's why we've credited the city for those documents they provided to us. And so we did the best we could to identify what we thought was owed. They did the best to identify what they thought was owed. The city had better records than we did, and so we took the city's records as the actual reconciliation number and used that.
Okay. And then there are no other surprises that you anticipate we're going to be
We're not
approving?
aware of any discrepancies between the city. This was the only real outstanding loan we've had with the city for a long time, and this was just done at a time when the city was having some very difficult financial situations and as an effort to help the city on a cash flow basis. There are no other agreements with the city like that we have.
And you said it's been paid already by the city?
Yeah.
Okay. And then last question, very in the weeds, but like, are your accounting systems talking to each other now, or are they not?
We have better records, yes. Going forward, we will have better records, maintaining records. I mean, even with we enter into financial agreements with the city, the finance department's more involved, and we're reviewing these agreements and ensuring that we are recording things accurately, saving records. So it's a better thing now.
All right, sounds good. That's all I got. Thank you.
Trustee Lettigiou?
Thank you for that work. It does happen. Can you, I didn't look at the financial statements to look at the management letter. But as it relates to the management letter, how long has this been brought forward by the auditors?
This was identified by our auditors, and that probably at the end of our 2020 audit, which would have been in December of 2020.
Okay.
The Vallejo Flood and Wastewater District is a component unit of the city of Vallejo. And so when we do our financial records, we actually turn them over to the city sometime, usually October if we're doing well, and then we get reported within the city's books. This would normally be how something like this would be caught, because as a component unit, we have basically a due to and a due from.
Right.
And they should balance. They
Right.
never did. And so this was something that wasn't caught, but would normally have been caught on the city side. This was finally identified in 2020, I think for the 2020 financials, either in late 2020 or early 2021. That's what really, why we identified this. And we've been talking with the city ever since then to try to identify what the issues were. We worked with our auditors and the city worked with the city's auditors to explain the process we were going through to try to reconcile them, the difficulty we were having finding records. And our auditors understood that this sort of thing happens over a period of 20 years with different financial systems. And so that's it. And then after a couple of years, we then had some staffing changes, both on the district side and on the city side. But we have now finally, through Olivia's leadership, been able to actually figure this out.
So how are our records talking to each other?
They technically don't. We have two separate financial systems. They're totally different computer systems. They talk in the sense that our audited statements are provided to the city, and those statements are included within the city's audit as a component unit. And so that any reconciliation or any talking really happens at the city level through their annual audits.
So, and I understand the reporting mechanism for the financial reports and so forth and on. And then what is the stopgap or the internal control that on a quarterly basis that you all are literally taking the time to reconcile and true up your records? Where are you doing that true up before the end of the year?
Yeah, we're doing it monthly, quarterly, throughout the year in the finance department. Sometimes, yeah, in relation to this particular, we worked with the city, emailing back and forth, reviewing our own records, our permit records, any agreements. So digging, back in 2005, everything was printed and filed in a cabinet. So just going through records. But yeah, it took a while.
No.
Research.
I'm just, I get I understand the issue. But what I'm speaking to today is what internal control do you have in place so that when we get to the end of the year, when we're ready to do our financial statements, what are we doing in the interim? Are we doing a quarterly true up with the city if we're having any of this back and forth? What are we doing?
This may seem odd, but we have very, very few financial transactions with the city.
Okay.
They just don't happen.
Okay.
The only things that really happen are like when we might need an encroachment permit for like
Okay.
a sewer job we're doing. We might pay the community development department a
Okay.
fee for that, but those are paid by credit card. We have very few interactions, so there's really nothing to reconcile.
Okay.
Yeah, this was one of the last agreements that we
Okay.
could find with the city.
Right.
Okay, so I would venture to say if we ever get into another agreement, it doesn't matter if it's the city, that we definitely will have a way where we have a true up system.
Absolutely.
To do this work versus at the end of the year and we're all searching and looking and finding. I mean, that's just the reality, right?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you for your work and your time.
Yeah, and I just want to thank Jasmine Herber, our district accountant, because she worked really hard with the city of Vallejo and their finance department to kind of resolve this issue as well for us. So thank you to her.
And I want to note also, the city has been very good to work with on this one.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been a difficult issue, and the city staff's also been great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other comments from the trustees? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is our administrative item where we already did the presentation. Are there any other public
Excuse me,
comment?
President Officer, I believe you need to approve the item before we move forward.
My apologies. Yes, you
That's
are
all right.
correct. So is there a motion for item 4.1, previously 4E?
I'll make the motion to approve. I thought it's 4E.
I think we need to read the whole thing out just to
Oh,
make sure we
my
get
bad.
it correctly.
I think-
You would.
Item 4E, Trustee
Yes,
Wadey?
4E.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the reclassification of uncollected revenues of 58,639 $1.80 to bad debt expenses.
And we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion is approved unanimously. And now moving on to item 5, which was our administrative item where we already had the presentation. Are there any other public comments associated with the presentation that may still be available?
Aside from the speaker that spoke earlier on this item, not at this time.
Thank you for that. So seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment session for the item, agenda item number 5, and then move on to agenda item number 6, General Manager's Report.
Cool. Thank you. So we've all been experiencing this cold weather. It's obviously got a lot of people sick, apparently. Starting Friday afternoon, this coming Friday afternoon, we'll experience several days of continuous rain, heavy rain beginning on Saturday. It's going to be a big rain event coming up. So if residents need sandbags, the sandbag station at the end of Ryder Street is open. So if you need sandbags for that, wanted to remind residents and anybody to please clear away leaves and debris from storm drains. Those covers, if you see it out there in front of your house, kind of brush the leaves aside, put them in your bin. That would be very helpful. If the storm drain ends up being clogged, please contact the district at 707-644-8949. Want to thank the board for your participation in the district's strategic planning process on December 8th. Your input was very helpful in developing a strategic plan that'll best serve this Vallejo community. I want to let you know that prior to the strategic planning meeting, we held our first real property committee meeting. The committee covers the railroad property and 50 Solano. This was the first meeting. The meeting included a closed session and there is no information to report. The next meeting is expected sometime in January. We have done very well in recent hires by bringing top talent to the district, and this is a testament to the great team and the great environment that we have at the district. We'll provide an introduction for the new hires in January. And then from all the district staff, we wish you all a happy holidays. That's the end of my report.
Thank you for that, General Manager Tomko. Are there any questions or comments from any trustees? Seeing none, moving on to the next agenda item.
Some weight, but not that much. Just wanted to give a comment.
Go ahead, Trustee Gordon.
Thank you so very much for your report. I appreciate the collaboration, working with us, and being patient with us new electees. I know that's a lot of work, so I want to thank you for that. And I appreciate the making yourself available for us at any time. So thank you again. I hope you and your family and the rest of the district have an excellent holiday.
Thank you for that. Moving on to item number 7, Community Forum. Thank you, General Manager Tomko. Moving on to the Community Forum. Mr. Clerk, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak?
We have not received any cards. Online, many?
Thank you. Through the chair, do not have any speakers signed up for this item at this current point in time. However, I did start a 2-minute timer for interested parties to sign up for the community forum on the top left corner of your screen. We do have one speaker. We'll go ahead and have her speak while that community forum timer finishes up. Speaker McDonald, you have the floor.
I wanted to thank the Water Department for the grant that we just completed recently. I did just send out some information to the council members and the city and Valerie, who was our point of contact. We had some students do some testing, and we also did field trips. A lot of the students that worked with this program were from elite charter school, and then we had UC Berkeley students come out and they recorded a video, and so we sent that information to everyone on the council and in the city. Just wanted to thank them for that collaboration and say that we hope to collaborate again in the future with some of the same concerns that they raised.
Thank you for that public comment. As we wait for the remainder of the time to run out for the community forum, let's go ahead and, we've only got like 23 seconds left, so I'll just go ahead and wait for that to see if there's anything to close out on this. Seeing the clock running out, Mr. Clerk, are there any other public comments at this point?
No.
Thank you for that. I'll go ahead and close out the public hearing for the community forum and move on to agenda item number 8, reports of the presiding officers. Do we have anyone who wants to provide a report? Seeing none, well, go ahead and close that item and move on to item number 9 on the agenda, which is adjournment. So want to wish everyone a happy holidays and until we meet next year for our next VFWD board meeting. So thank you all. And we'll go ahead and take 5 to 10 minutes to have Manny switch over the screens.